What if the one thing everyone mocked you for? Your face, your voice was the key to becoming a global icon. This is the story of a man who sold his dog to survive, refused a fortune, and turned his greatest weakness into his most powerful weapon. To discover the secrets behind his fight and transform your own English storytelling, make sure you subscribe and turn on all notifications so you don't miss our next story. This is the story of Sylvester Stallone. He is the man behind the famous characters of Rocky and Rambo. He is the man who gave us a message that has inspired millions of people. A message that says, it's not about how hard you can hit, it's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. So find a comfortable place. Maybe grab a notebook. Open your heart and get ready. This is more than just a story. It is a reminder of the strength we all have inside. Let's begin. Part 1. Birth and Early Struggles. Sylvester Stallone was born on July 6, 1946 in New York City in the USA. But even before he took his first breath in this world, something difficult happened. There were problems during his birth, and the doctors had to use a medical tool called forceps to help deliver him. But when they used this tool, it accidentally damaged a nerve in his face. Because of this accident, the lower left side of his face was paralyzed. This means the muscles didn't work correctly. His mouth drooped down a little on one side. It gave him a kind of slurred speech, making it hard for him to speak clearly. He could not even smile properly. Imagine that for a moment. Imagine being a small child and other children laugh at you because of the way you look and the way you speak. That was Sylvester Stallone's childhood. Kids at school made fun of him. Sometimes teachers would ignore him because they couldn't understand him easily. People called him hurtful names. They said he was stupid or slow or even ugly. His father, Frank Stallone, was a hairdresser. His mother, Jackie Stallone, was an astrologer and a promoter. But their marriage was not a happy one. Their home was full of fighting anger and a lot of stress. Sylvester was only 9 years old when his parents got a divorce. After the divorce, his life became even more unstable. He moved around a lot, going from one school to another. In total, he attended more than 10 different schools. He was not a good student. He felt very lonely, and worst of all, he felt like nobody wanted him. But even in all of that pain, he held on to one small dream. He wanted to be famous. He wanted to be a hero like the ones he saw in the movies. He especially loved boxing films. He didn't just watch them, he felt them. He would stand in front of a mirror in his room and pretend he was an actor in a movie. At school, he started to act in small plays. Even though his speech was not perfect, he gave it all of his energy. He wanted the people watching to feel something real. But most people didn't take him seriously. They would laugh. Still, he did not stop trying. Eventually, he went to college. He joined the University of Miami and decided to study drama, which is the art of acting. He practiced every single day. He learned how to act with his emotions, how to use his body language and his eyes to tell a story. He knew that his speech would probably never be perfect, so he had to find another way to connect with people, another way to stand out. After he finished college, Stallone moved to New York City. People call it the City of Dreams, but for him, life there was brutal. He was poor, he couldn't find a job, and he was all alone. He lived in tiny, cheap apartments. Sometimes when he had no money for rent, he slept at bus stations. Other nights, he would sleep in a public library just to have a roof over his head. He went to hundreds of auditions for movies, for plays, for commercials, for anything. But every time he walked into a room, the directors said the same thing. "You can't be an actor. Your face looks a little strange. Your voice is too weird. No, thank you." He was rejected again and again and again. It was as if the entire world was shouting at him, telling him to give up. But Stallone refused. There was a time when he had absolutely no money left. He could not afford to buy food. He had only one friend in the whole world, his dog Butkus, but he couldn't even afford to feed him anymore. With tears filling his eyes, Stallone went to a liquor store and stood outside on the street. He held his beloved dog and asked people walking by if they would buy him. He had to beg. Finally, one man looked at the dog and said, "Okay, I'll take him." Stallone sold his best friend for just $40. He walked away, and his heart felt like it was breaking into 1,000 pieces. He went back to his empty room and cried. He had just sold the only friend he had because the world had given him nothing. That was his rock bottom. That was the lowest point of his life. But even then, Stallone still had one thing left. He still had a dream. One night, he was watching a boxing match on a small television. It was a fight between the great champion Muhammad Ali and a boxer named Chuck Wepner. Wepner was the underdog. He was the person nobody believed in. Everyone thought he would lose the fight in just 3 rounds. But he kept fighting. He was bleeding. He was falling down, but he kept getting back up. Stallone watched this and felt something powerful ignite inside of him. He felt a connection to this fighter who refused to quit. He rushed back to his small room, found a pen and some paper, and he started to write. He wrote for 3 days straight without stopping. He didn't sleep. He didn't take a break. And after 72 hours of non-stop writing, he had a script. He called it Rocky. It was the story of a poor, unknown boxer from a tough neighborhood who gets one chance, just one chance, to fight the world champion. It was his own life disguised as a story. Part 2. The man who became Rocky Stallone was still hungry. He was still broke, and he was still very lonely. But now he had something he didn't have before. He had the script for Rocky. And he believed in one thing with all his heart: this story was going to change his life. But there was one very big problem. He didn't just want to sell the story. He wanted to act as the main character, Rocky Balboa. He took his script to all the big film studios in Hollywood, and they all told him the same thing. They said, "Your story is amazing. It's fantastic. We will buy this script from you. We will pay you $125,000 for it. But you will not act in the movie." Stallone looked at them and said, "No, no deal." The studio bosses were shocked. Here was a man who was so poor he had no food. He had no job. He had even sold his dog to survive. And yet he was saying no to $125,000. They thought he was crazy. They offered him more money. They offered him $250,000. Then they offered him $300,000. Still, Stallone refused. He told them, "This story is about me. It's not just words on a page. It's my blood, my tears, my life. I am Rock." He chose his dream over the money. Finally, one studio decided to give him a very small chance. They said, "Okay, you can act in the film, but we will only pay you $35,000, and the film will have a very small budget. There will be no big famous names and no big promotions. It's a huge risk." Stallone didn't hesitate. He said, "Yes, let's do it." For him, it was never about the money. It was about proving to himself and to the world that he could be a star. Now that he had a little bit of money, there was one thing he had to do first. He went back to that same liquor store where he had sold his beloved dog, Butkus. He stood there day after day, just waiting and hoping to see the man who had bought him. After 3 long days of waiting, he finally saw him. Stallone walked up to the man and said, "Please, sir, I want my dog back. He's my best friend." The man looked at him and said, "No." Stallone begged him. He explained how much the dog meant to him. The man finally said, "Okay, you want your dog back. You have to pay me $15,000. Stallone only had $35,000 in total to his name, but he didn't care. He gave the man the money and took Butkus back in his arms. He held his friend close, crying with joy. He hugged him and whispered, "We made it, buddy. We made it." And here is something truly beautiful. That same dog Butkus appears in the movie Rocky. His real dog, his real life, his real pain. It was all inside that film. Now the filming of the movie began. But things were very, very hard. The budget was so low that they couldn't hire many actors. They had to film on the cold streets of Philadelphia and in cheap, real locations. Stallone wore his own old clothes in the movie. They used real frozen meat in the famous scene where Rocky trains by punching it. Sometimes, for certain scenes, he had to run through streets filled with garbage, but he never complained. He said, "This is real. Let people see the truth." He trained every single day. He was boxing, running, lifting weights. He wanted to show the world, "I'm not just acting this part, I am living it." There is a very famous scene in Rocky when he runs up the long steps of the Philadelphia Museum of Art. It has become one of the most famous scenes in all of movie history. But here is the truth behind that scene. They didn't have money for special cameras or a large crew. A friend of his held a simple camera while running behind him. Stallone ran up those steps one time. There was no second take, no expensive equipment. That single raw, powerful shot is what you see in the movie. Finally, in 1976, Rocky was released in theaters. No one expected very much from it. It was a small movie, made with very little money, with a lead actor that nobody knew. But then, something magical happened. People saw the movie, and they started to cry. At the end, they stood up in the theaters, and they clapped and cheered. They went home and told their friends about this amazing film. Then their friends told other people. Soon, the entire world was falling in love with Rocky. In just a few weeks, Rocky became a global hit. It earned over $225 million at the box office from a tiny budget of just $1 million. The movie was nominated for 10 Oscars at the Academy Awards. It won 3 of them, including the biggest award of all Best Picture, and Sylvester Stallone. He went from being a nobody to a global star. He became a symbol of never giving up. One reporter asked him, "What do you feel right now, Sylvester? What's the lesson from all of this?" Stallone smiled his famous crooked smile and said, "If you believe in something, even if the whole world says no, you have to say yes to yourself. Don't stop fighting. And don't sell your soul for comfort." From sleeping in bus stations to winning an Oscar. From being rejected more than 1,000 times to becoming one of the most loved actors in the world. He didn't change his dream. He didn't change his face. He just refused to give up. Rocky made Sylvester Stallone a global star almost overnight. He had gone from sleeping on benches to walking on red carpets, from selling his dog for a few dollars to holding a golden Oscar statue. People were cheering for him. The world was finally listening to his voice. But life wasn't going to stay easy forever. After the incredible success of Rocky, Stallone was everywhere. He was on magazine covers and TV interviews, and he was getting offers for big movies. He was at parties with all the famous Hollywood stars. Everyone wanted a piece of him. But Stallone didn't let the fame slow him down. He immediately started working on Rocky II. He wrote it, he directed it, and he acted in it. And once again, it was a huge hit. People loved the story of the underdog boxer who kept fighting. But Stallone wasn't just an actor anymore. He was becoming a symbol of strength, of persistence, and of hope. After Rocky, Stallone wanted to do something different. In 1982, he took a risk with a film called First Blood. This movie introduced the world to John Rambo, a soldier who was strong and silent, but also full of pain. The movie was emotional, powerful, and it was packed with action. Rambo became an instant icon. The film showed the world something called PTSD, or post-traumatic stress disorder. It showed how war can destroy a person's mind, not just their body. It showed the loneliness that heroes often feel. Stallone became unstoppable. During the late 1970s and all through the 1980s, he was one of the biggest movie stars in the world. He made Rocky III, Rambo First Blood, to Part 2 Rocky IV, Cobra Over the Top, and many more. His body looked stronger, his movies got bigger, and his fan base grew all around the globe. He was rich, famous, and respected. But then things started to change. In the early 1990s, Stallone's magic began to fade a little. Some of his movies didn't do well at the box office. Films like Stop or My Mom Will Shoot and Judge Dredd were not successful. People started to say, Stallone is finished. He's getting too old. His style of action doesn't work anymore. His movies stopped making as much money. His audience was shrinking. His body couldn't do the same incredible action scenes. He was losing the thing that made him special. And then something even worse happened. In 1997, his son Sage Stallone acted with him in the movie Rocky V. They played father and son on the screen, just like in their real life. But the movie did not do well. Critics hated it. It hurt Stallone very deeply. Then in 2012, a terrible tragedy struck. His son Sage passed away at the age of 36 from heart issues. Stallone was devastated. He was completely broken by this loss. He didn't speak much about it publicly, but he said, "There is no pain like losing your child. It changes everything inside you." His marriage also failed. He went through divorces, legal battles, and constant attacks from the media. Behind the strong muscles and the tough guy image was a man who was breaking. In the 2000s, Hollywood had changed. New stars were popular, and new styles of movies were taking over. People started to forget about the old legends. For almost 10 years, Stallone did not have a hit movie. He was mocked. Memes were made about him. Critics called him outdated. But what they didn't know was this: a real fighter doesn't stop when he loses. He stops when he's done. At the age of 60, Stallone did something that nobody could believe. He decided to return to the boxing ring, not in real life, but on film. He made a new Rocky movie called Rocky Balboa. Everyone said it was a terrible idea. "You're too old," they told him. "This will be embarrassing. You'll ruin your legacy." But Stallone believed in one thing. He knew that Rocky is not about age. Rocky is about the fight that is inside you. The movie was released in 2006, and it shocked the world. It was a beautiful, emotional story. People cried in the theaters. Old fans returned to see their hero one more time, and young people discovered him for the first time. It became a huge success. After Rocky Balboa, he made another bold move. He called up all the famous action stars from the past. Arnold Schwarzenegger, Jason Statham, Jet Li, Bruce Willis, and he created a new movie called The Expendables. It was a celebration of old-school action movies. And guess what? It worked. The Expendables was a big hit in 2010. Then came a second part and a third. Suddenly, Stallone was back. He wasn't just surviving, he was winning again. Then in 2015, something truly beautiful happened. A young director wanted to continue the Rocky story, but this time with a new hero, Adonis Creed, the son of Rocky's old rival, Apollo Creed. Stallone agreed to be in the movie, but this time he played the mentor. He played an older Rocky now fighting cancer and loss while guiding the young new fighter. The movie Creed was a masterpiece. Stallone was nominated for an Oscar again. And once more, he showed the world that you can fall, you can break, but if you still get up, you are a champion. Part 3. The Legacy of a Fighter. By the time Creed became a global hit, Sylvester Stallone was no longer just an actor. He had become something much more. He was a symbol of strength, a mentor to millions of people, and a man who had survived everything life could throw at him: pain, poverty, fame, failure, and terrible loss. But behind the muscles, the movies, and the motivational quotes there was still a human being. A man who had faced life and death, a man who had seen glory and grief. And now it's time to understand who Sylvester Stallone really is beyond the movie screen. Sylvester Stallone has been married 3 times. His current wife is Jennifer Flavin, a former model. They got married in 1997, and together they have 3 daughters. One is Sophia Stallone, who is smart and kind, and loves fashion and business. The second is Sistine Stallone, who is a model and an actress working in Hollywood. And the third is Scarlett Stallone, the youngest, who is funny, energetic, and loves sports. Stallone calls his daughters his greatest treasures. He often says, "They are my world. I may have played heroes in movies, but they are the real heroes of my life." At home, he is not Rambo, and he is not Rocky. He is just Dad. He teaches his daughters about life, about respect, and about the importance of working hard. He often tells them, "Don't depend on fame. Build your strength from the inside." But even today, there is one part of Stallone's heart that will always remain broken: the loss of his first son, Sage. But he used that unimaginable pain to become even stronger, to love more deeply, and to be an even better father to his daughters. He used it to teach people that life is short, and we must live it with love and purpose. Stallone is not just a fighter in movies, he is also a deep thinker. He often shares his beliefs about life, and they are powerful because they are simple and real. Here are some of his most emotional thoughts. On pain, he says, "Pain is fuel. Use it. Don't waste it crying. Let it build your character." On rejection, he says, "I was rejected over 1,000 times. If I had listened to them, I wouldn't exist today." On success, he says, "Money comes, fame comes, but what stays is your spirit. Make sure that's strong." On fear, he says, "Everyone is scared. But courage means moving forward even when you're shaking." On age, he says, "I'm over 75, but my heart is still in the ring. Life doesn't stop until you stop showing up." And on family, he says, "Your family is your final home. Treat them better than you treat the world." These are not just quotes. They are life lessons that were built from real suffering, real love, and real victory. Today, Stallone is one of the richest and most respected men in Hollywood. His net worth is estimated to be over $400 million. He owns beautiful homes, expensive art, and fancy cars. He runs his own production company that creates movies and TV shows. But the most beautiful thing is that he never forgot the day when he had only a few dollars in his pocket. He still keeps a photo of his dog Butkus as a reminder of where he came from. He once said, "I'm not rich because of money. I'm rich because I never sold my soul." Many people don't know this, but Stallone is also a painter. He started painting long before he became a famous actor. Today, his artworks are shown in famous galleries all over the world. His paintings are deep emotional and abstract, full of pain and power. He says, "Sometimes I don't have words, so I paint what I feel." Through his art, he expresses the darkness he has hidden, the joy he has found, and the peace he protects. Even at his age, Stallone is still working. He recently starred in a TV show called Tulsa King. He continues to make new action films. He even appeared in a Marvel movie. He continues to train his body and never stops creating. Even now, in his late 70s, he wakes up early, works out, writes scripts, and pushes himself to be better. Every single day. He says, "The fight never ends. It just changes shape." So let's stop and think. What did Sylvester Stallone really give to the world? It was more than just action and more than just movies. He gave us hope. He gave us strength. He gave us the belief that the underdog, the person no one believes in, can win. He is a reminder that your past does not define your future. He showed us that even if you are born with a broken face, you can still smile. Even if people laugh at your voice, your words can change lives. Even if the entire world says no, you can say yes to yourself. He is Rocky. He is Rambo. He is Stallone. But more than anything, he is one of us. A fighter, a dreamer, a survivor. Rocky wasn't just a film. It became a movement. In countries all over the world, millions of people watched Rocky and said to themselves, "If he can do it, maybe I can too." Famous athletes, singers, actors, and even business leaders have said that the story of Rocky changed their lives. Football teams played the movie's music before big games. Boxers trained while watching his scenes. Teenagers who felt pain found hope in his words. Students who wanted to quit their studies decided to try just one more time. That is how powerful one story can be. And it all came from a man who was told again and again, "You're not good enough." Stallone always gives deep advice to the next generation. When young fans meet him, they often say, "I feel like giving up. Life is too hard. What should I do?" And he looks at them with calm, kind eyes and replies, "Good. That means you're alive. You're in the fight. Now keep going." He teaches young people, don't compare yourself to others. Your fight is different. Your story is unique. So don't copy anyone else. Just keep showing up. He teaches them that you don't need to be perfect. You don't need to be famous. You just need to believe in one thing yourself. Now, in his late 70s, Stallone sometimes talks about life and death. He says, "One day I'll be gone, but Rocky will stay. And if Rocky stays, that means hope stays." He doesn't fear death. He fears wasting life. He believes that you only get one life and that's it. So you should make it loud, make it strong, and make it count. He wants people to remember not his muscles, but his message. It's never too late. You're never too broken. And one good punch can still change everything. Let's ask one final question. What made Sylvester Stallone a legend? Was it his movies, his money, or his fame? No. What made him a legend was this. He was rejected 1,000 times, but he still believed in himself. He was laughed at for his voice, but he used it to inspire millions. He was told he was too old, but he made his biggest comeback at age 60. He was once called ugly, but he showed the world what true beauty looks like. He turned his pain into power. He turned his failure into fire. He turned his loneliness into a legacy. That is what legends do. Here are the most powerful lessons from his incredible life. 1. Never sell your dream. Even if people offer you a lot of money, even if they say, Just change it a little bit. Don't do it. Your dream is not for sale. Too pain will come, but let it build you. Stallone didn't run from his pain. He used it to write Rocky. He turned his suffering into a powerful story. 3. Your first punch might miss, but don't stop swinging. He failed again and again, but he never stopped trying. He knew that the next punch could be the one that changes everything. 4. Your weakness can become your strength. His voice was strange. His face was different. But those things became his identity. He used them. He owned them. He grew from them. 5. You don't need 100 people to believe in you. You just need one you. If Stallone had waited for other people's approval, we would never have the story of Rocky. But he approved of himself, and that changed the world. Imagine this for a moment. A man sitting all alone in a dark movie theater, watching the first scene of his movie Rocky. The music starts to play. The crowd on the screen cheers, and he smiles. That man is Sylvester Stallone. And the voice in his heart is saying, I made it. I stayed in the ring. And I won. Not because I was the best, but because I never left the fight. If you are listening to this story right now, maybe you feel tired. Maybe life is hitting you hard. Maybe you feel that no one believes in you. Maybe your own dream feels too far away. But let Stallone's story be a reminder. You don't need perfect English to speak powerfully. You don't need perfect looks to inspire others. You don't need a perfect life to win. You just need to refuse to quit. Because now it is your story. What will you write? What will you fight for? What will you become? Stallone gave us his truth. Now it's time for you to live yours. If this story touched your heart, please share it. Let the world see what real courage looks like. And most importantly, never stop learning, never stop dreaming, and never stop speaking. Your English will grow, your dreams will rise, and one day people will talk about your story.